So there's been a lot of talk about the Cleveland Browns and whether they need to be completely overhauled, whether there needs to be big sweeping changes on this team. And I am here to say that do the Browns have some big problems? Yes. Do they need to make big changes? No, I don't believe that. I think the Browns' biggest problem isn't their personnel. It isn't their coaching. It's themselves. They have gotten in their own way all season. If they don't get in their own way, you could say that they would probably have won the home opener against Tennessee. They would have won against LA, and they would have won last week against the Seahawks. That's 3 games. That would mean the Browns would be 5-1. They would have only lost to San Francisco. So when you've only lost one game outright because you haven't beat yourself, and it's kind of debatable because the Callaway interception did open things up in that game. It did look like the Browns were going to make a charge back, and then that interception happened. But when that is the only game you can almost definitively say that the Browns have beat themselves, and right now the San Francisco 49ers look like one of the best teams in the NFL, then it really, really kind of clears up how you go about solving this team's issues. And it's not by firing the head coach. It's not by benching the quarterback. It's by getting this team to get on the same page and execute. And some of you guys don't think Freddie Kitchens is the guy for that. Some of you guys don't think Baker Mayfield now is the guy for that, which I just think is kind of ridiculous. I just think that they need time to get this stuff together. A lot of moving parts, a lot of great, very talented moving parts. It's going to take time for this thing to get running like we thought it was. Most of us thought we'd be at this point in the season and be 3-3 anyways. So the fact that they're 2-4 is not reason to panic. Sure, has it been frustrating? Has it been hard to watch at times? Of course, yes, it's been hard to watch. It's not been an easy thing to watch the Browns fumble around and lose these games in the manner in which they did, because we know that they're better than that, and they know that they're better than that. But that doesn't mean that we give up on everything that this team is, because honestly, the team's not really as bad as we think it is. This defense has 2 players who are tied for the league in tackles and sacks. Joe Schobert is tied for the lead in tackles at 63. Myles Garrett has 9 sacks. He's tied for the lead in sacks. The Browns are better statistically on offense than 6 of their last 10 opponents. It is a favorable schedule down the stretch. The Browns are going to be okay. They just need to execute. Look at what happened in the Seahawks game. That game was about 2-3 plays away from being a blowout, but they got in their own way and they lost the game. Think about the end of the second half. Baker Mayfield forces a ball to Jarvis in the end zone when he didn't need to, and he had Odell Beckham open on the other hash for a touchdown on that same play. It's an unforced error. It's getting in your own way. It's a bad play, but it's something that can be fixed internally. Nick Chubb fumbled the ball on the Seahawks 30-yard line while the Browns were driving. It's a bad play. It's not good, frustrating as hell, but it can be fixed internally. Dontrell Hilliard drops a ball on the 30-yard line while the Browns are trying to drive to tie the game, and it turns into an interception. Frustrating play, really bad luck. You wish Dontrell Hilliard would have caught that ball, but things like that happen in the NFL. They can be fixed internally. The Browns' biggest problem, it isn't the offensive line as much as they have gotten on my nerves. It isn't the personnel on defense. It isn't the personnel on offense. It isn't the quarterback. It isn't the play calling. It's the fact that this team is not executing. That whatever it is in their mind, whatever things are going on behind the scenes, are taking their mind away from the game, because the plays are there. The wins are there. They just got to make those plays. So I don't think this is on Freddie Kitchens and the play calling, because the opportunities to make the plays are there. We just aren't making them. as a team. Odell Beckham has dropped a few more balls than he would like to have, I'm pretty sure of. Jarvis Landry has not been playing at the level that he thinks he can play at. And Baker Mayfield has not been accurate for whatever reason now. The reports that there's a hip injury would make sense. We saw Baker Mayfield go through a very inaccurate stretch when he hurt his ankle last season against the Oakland Raiders, and he was inaccurate for about 3-4 games there. So maybe that's the issue with the Browns, and maybe they're not all completely healthy or whatever the reason is, but I just don't think that tearing this team up and firing everybody is going to do anything but hurt the team's future. Well, not even hurt the team's future. I think he killed the team's future. I think any optimism, any promise that this roster has is killed once you fire a head coach 6 months into the start of his reign. This team, I promise you, Browns fans, is closer than any Browns team has been on paper and on the field. They are very close. These plays are not that far from happening. They just need to execute. And if this team starts to execute, which I predict they will over this next stretch where they play some weaker teams, they will gain confidence and they will become a better team because of it. But they got to execute, and we got to give them the opportunity to execute. And I know that they're going to say that this team hasn't been executing for 20 years, but it's about time that I think we need to stop bringing the baggage of the last 20 years onto these players who are just trying to win games. This is going to have to take patience. There's no shortcut around patience. There's no way around patience. If you're an NFL fan and you want your team that's stunk for 20 years to get better, it's not going to happen overnight. It's not. That's a pipe dream. These things take time. The Patriots took time to become the Patriots. These things take time, take patience, and take a while to get where they need to be. So we need to make sure we allow them that time and patience to let them get things where they need to be. And if you're a football fan out there and you think you're above patience, if you think you don't want to have to wait anymore for a team's success, then that's fine. I suggest you would cheer for the Patriots and bandwagon or something, because there's no way around patience when it comes to rebuilding an NFL team and getting a team that was 0-16 2 years ago to be a legit playoff contender in just 2 years. There is no substitute around patience for that. So if you think you don't have to be patient when this team was 0-16 2 years ago, 1-15 3 years ago, then I think that's a little bit ridiculous. This team was always going to take time. This team was always going to start slow. We never predicted this team to go 5-1 or 6-0 to start the season. So why are we surprised that they aren't 5-0 or 5-1 or 6-0 to start this season? Because if we don't give this team patience, if we don't allow this team time to grow, you know what's going to happen? They're going to have to break this team all apart. Everybody's going to have to go their separate ways, and we're going to have to watch all these guys who used to wear brown and orange be great in other colors. And if you want that to be the reality, like it's been the reality for this franchise and this fan base for the last 20 years, then go ahead and continue to do that, but don't be mad when all of these players are star players in other teams, because this team is talented. They just need time. We don't need to blow things up just now. So Austin Corbett has been traded by the Cleveland Browns to the LA Rams for a conditional 5th round draft pick. Interesting trade. Does this mean that they're opening up space on the offensive line to bring somebody in to shake things up during the bye week? Possibly. Or does it mean that they just saw a way to get value out of somebody that they weren't getting any value out of in Austin Corbett and just decided to send him along? Either way, this officially confirms that this is probably the biggest miss yet for John Dorsey as far as drafting. Now, he has had a great track record as far as being the general manager and drafting players for the Browns. And it's just interesting to see how badly this one went, seeing that they already traded him for a 5th round pick. And if you don't remember, Austin Corbett was drafted in the 2nd round ahead of Nick Chubb, 33rd pick. Nick Chubb was the 35th pick. So That's how highly they thought of Austin Corbett, and he just never panned out. So what are the Browns' plans with the empty roster spot that they left open with Austin Corbett? Well, if I've learned anything from watching John Dorsey move over the last 2.5 years, is that expect anything. I would not be surprised here if he swung out a trade. I don't think it's going to be for Trent Williams, but I do think he's going to trade for a left tackle or some kind of offensive lineman somewhere, somehow. And he might be able to shake things up. So I would not be surprised if that is. Let me know what you think is going to happen.